Hey guys, welcome to the Love of Books, Movies, and Happiness. Today's review I actually did yesterday, posted it, and then rewatched my copy of the video later last night in the early morning and decided that I completely screwed up the review. Like, instead of going in the book 2, I essentially did like a deep recap of book 1 and then barely mentioned book 2 and then just cut the video off. I was not happy with that. Didn't think about it at the time of posting it because I just wanted to get it posted. So I have deleted that one. This is the revamped review. So if you've seen the other review, you're not seeing things, you haven't lost your mind. I just deleted that one and I have redone it for a proper review of book 2 in the Other series by Anne Bishop, which this series is an urban fantasy that introduces a lot of what we know of mythological creatures, a lot of fantasy characters that we're familiar with the names of, like vampires, shifters, elements, prophets, people with abilities, that kind of thing. But it also revamps what we know of them for its own version. It's a really good series. I enjoy it. The first one in the series was Written in Red, which I do have that review posted from like 2 or 3 weeks ago, so feel free to check that one out. That one I go into a more in-depth explanation of the world and kind of get everyone introduced to a lot of what you're going to encounter there. The politics of the world, the creatures, because they're definitely not what we're used to. They're different. Anne Bishop, as a writer, does a really good job of taking what we know of, like vampire, for example, and making it her own creature, which I enjoy that. You know, it's a new look at a vampire. I like this version. It's really cool to me, you know. So I enjoy the characters in this series. This is I don't want to say clean or not clean, because that just, like a lot of us that read smut and stuff like that, calling something not clean is just, I don't know, it's not something I agree with. So I'm not going to say it's clean, but I am going to say it has no the series overall has a very, very light hand, like extremely light attraction element between two characters. It's not even a slow burn to where, like, you know, halfway through they're going to get to a hotel with only one bed situation. It's one might feel something, but he doesn't know or doesn't look at it in that light. The other character is traumatized from her past, doesn't, for most of the series, isn't even sure she wants anything to do with sex or anything like that. So it's like a very extremely, like, very fine hint of potential attraction that's not really there yet, if that makes sense. So if you're looking for an urban fantasy series that doesn't really have any smut in it, this is a good one to check out. The storyline is great, which I will be getting into. The characters are great, and the world pulls you in. It really does. It pulls you in. It's a different look at things, different world. Highly enjoy reading it. And it's got everything for someone. For those that like the fantasy side of things, you've got your creatures and stuff like that. For those that look more for the good versus bad, good versus evil kind of setup, it's in here. Those that like more of your politics within a fantasy, that's in here. Those just looking for a good general storyline to begin with, it's in here. So it's all there. All right. So we are reviewing book 2 of the Others series, which is Murder of Crows. There we go. By Anne Bishop. Sorry for the camera angle there. So we met Meg in book 1, right? She's the blood prophet. Just to re-explain Meg, just in case you haven't read one or it's been a while, she has this ability to see what could happen in the future. But her talent mostly works by cutting her skin. And then when that happens, she sees prophecies. The thing is cutting her skin to get those prophecies has a couple side effects. At first there's pain, which you've cut yourself, so yeah, there's pain. But there can be a strong sense of euphoria or excitement, almost like an orgasm, essentially. So the person with the ability gets addicted to that. So then they want to cut themselves more often to feel the pleasure. So up until book 1, blood prophets were kept in controlled settings, supposed to be under benevolent care to where they could be protected from harming themselves. But at some point in looking out for the girls like that, at some point, someone had the idea we can make money off of them, right? So we can start selling their prophecies. Well, then, what's to keep them under control? Well, let's control everything about them. How they learn, what they do, their day-to-day activities. It got to a point where blood prophets are essentially prisoners. They're controlled from the moment they wake up to even when they can go to sleep. They're controlled. They're taught through like books and flashcards and little short training videos just so they can understand their prophecies, but they're not really introduced to the world. And for the most part, most people don't realize how it is for the girls. They think that it's safer for the girls to be in this setting because it keeps them safe, because people can stop them from harming themselves. Yes and no. Because of course, when you have anyone who's being controlled like that, they can be taken advantage of and exploited. So, book 1, Meg escaped from that. She didn't have a name. She was only given a number. Like CS7 something. It was like a series of numbers kind of designating what number she was out of all of them. Right? But she escaped from that. So that's where we met Meg. Well, in book 1, after she makes her way to Lakeside business district in their little area of assignment. She ends up cementing her place with them through her prophecies, trying to protect everyone. Because she figures out that, there's going to be trouble and these people are in danger, and she gets the prophecies out, and they start figuring out how to understand her and help her, and she ends up cementing her place with them, essentially. So after the events of book 1, we now come to book 2. We have Meg, who has cemented her place. She's made friends with everyone. She's got her own apartment. She's the human relations person between the others and humans. Because, of course, as we know from book 1, humans are considered prey. They are not the top apex predator. We are, in fact, towards the bottom of the ladder when it comes to that. And the others, like Simon, who is a wolf who can shift into human. There's a bear who can shift into human. There's crows that can shift into humans. And some other shifter groups are somewhere in there, I believe. Humans there's something to be studied more than anything. They're the minority. Not that humans are thrilled about that. As we learned from book 1, humans are not in any way thrilled about that. They've forgotten over the years, and you start to get the groups that sit and go, well, why should we be the bottom? Why can't we be on the top? And they start to cause trouble only to regret it. But then, of course, history repeats itself. So now Meg has cemented her place in the community. They all trust her. She's a friend to everyone. They all worry about her. But she's not other. Right? So she doesn't have fur. She doesn't act like them. She's human. But she's also never had to take care of herself before. So even though she's human, she's a helpless human. She's learning how to take care of herself. She's learning how to do stuff that's normal for most humans. But it's a steep learning curve for her. So in this one, she gets faced with winter. Your skin dries out in the winter. Part of her job is sorting the mail and getting any packages ready to go to different areas of the Lakeside community. And she takes some on a truck and kind of drops them off as she goes. So she's out and about in the wind. She doesn't know to put lotion on. She doesn't know about chapped skin, about her hands getting so dry they split. The thing is when they split, she bleeds. And when she bleeds, she can say a prophecy. Mind you, if there is no one to hear her when she says it, it is forgotten. If she bleeds, but she doesn't speak the prophecy and she holds it in, she will remember it, but it causes her extreme pain. So it's like a catch-22. So she ends up, she's all settled in, she has her own apartment, but after the events of book 1, she's kind of afraid to be by herself. Solution? Simon, the wolf who turns into human. He sleeps with her in her apartment. He made that choice to stay with her to help protect her and keep her safe and give her company. And he mostly sleeps in wolf form, which is what she is comfortable with. As long as he is Simon in wolf form, he is not a threat at night. She's still safe, she's protected, she gets the benefit of being warm because of his fur. But she is not, doesn't have to worry about anything else when it comes to him being a guy, right? She ends up having a nightmare. And it's possible, with her skin being dry, it cracks in the middle of the night, causes her to go into a prophecy nightmare. He tries to wake her up. She ends up kicking him off the bed. he shifts back into human form and then gets back in the bed and rolls over and goes back to sleep to keep from getting kicked off the bed. But now she's upset because, well, now she's got this human-shaped male next to her with all the parts. And for her, she's a victim who's been traumatized in the past when it comes to that side of things, so she's not ready for something like that, and it's frightening to her, this idea. So she doesn't sleep much the rest of the night. Simon knows something is wrong, but he's not sure what is wrong. She ends up going into her job later that day and talking to some of the others about it, and they help her kind of break it down to what frightened her, help her get through it a little bit better. Simon's just confused because he doesn't see it. Like, to him, he's always Simon, so he doesn't understand the difference. He wasn't expecting anything like that from her, so in his mind, there was no problem. Mind you, he shifts into a human, but he's not a human, so he doesn't think like a human. He doesn't understand human concerns. So for a couple days, things are a little iffy between them just because she doesn't know how to fix it, and he doesn't know how to put her at ease. However, one of the things that came up was during this nightmare / prophecy she had was snow on the ground, black feathers in the snow with a bunch of blood, and she's trying to run. She's trying to get help. She hears a sound. She should know the sound, but she can't place the sound. So he spreads the warning. It wasn't until later in the day when she's talking to someone and they mention it's trash day that she realizes the sound that she had heard was the dumpsters. And then he gets word to the crows, like, hey, you need to get away from the dumpsters. Because on trash day, the crow shifters will go find out what people are throwing away, kind of pick through it, see if there's anything shiny, any kind of treasure they can keep, that kind of thing. Well, some humans have developed a game, unfortunately, where they set up a trap, putting out like shiny stuff, things to some food, stuff like that for the crow people, and then when they come to pick through things and they get the food in that, it's drugged, and then they start shooting them. And they use 2 new drugs that are brand new to the streets that have a horrible, absolutely horrible side effect of, it's insane. It's like Feel Good and Mad Dog or Mad Wolf, something like that. So one makes you feel super powerful and you're hyped up and you're super angry and you can't see anything else but your target and you can do anything, and they feel like they're one of the others now. And then the other one just makes them feel really good. So she gets this warning out to Simon about the crows. He gets the word to him like, hey, you need to get away. Some of them kind of argue because shinies. He puts his foot down. Since he's in charge of the courtyard, he makes it clear they either come back or they just don't come back ever. So the only crows that get harmed are like actual non-shifter crows instead of any of the crow people getting harmed. Well, it's not the end of it. Of course, that's like the very first chapter or so, right? Other issues within Murder of Crows that kind of spiral from this is figuring out where these 2 new drugs are coming from. Meg continues to fight her addiction to cutting herself to get prophecies. Yes, she needs the prophecies to help the community, but it needs to be done in a safe manner where she is not harming herself. There is a scare where it gets to the point where she needs, like for her physical well-being, she needs to do a cut to get the prophecy. It has to come out. They don't want her to because it hurts her, so she does it anyhow, but ends up screwing things up. Some stuff goes wrong. It leads to some answers, but they realize they're going to have to figure out another solution. So along with crows being, the crow shifters being hunted, right? They get word that another town that in the first book was known to be starting to cause some trouble with the others has essentially been cut off from everyone. The others have all pretty much left it, which is great. Humans are happy until they realize they're completely cut off from all civilization now. Like, this town is, no one can get out. And you have, I believe the book says, over 2,000 people trapped in a town with limited resources. They can't get any shipments in. They can't get people out. Anyone that tries to leave the town essentially gets eaten or destroyed. You have beings that are part of the others that walk through, and if they look at you, they can make you sick to the point of dying rather quickly. Like your insides melt type dying. They're like plague creatures or something like that. Like this town tried to go after the others, didn't succeed. Now it's paying the price as like a warning to all other human settlements of, hey, this is what will happen if you continue to go after the others. So you have that going on. Politically, there is a group, HL Humans First and Last. Started to make an appearance in book 1. It's making a stronger appearance in book 2 now. Because again, politically, humans have decided they don't want to be controlled by the others. So there's a group that's trying to get a strong hold of, like, let's rebel against the others, let's get ourselves free, let's put humans first and last and just ignore the others and their laws completely. So you have that going on. Because they're starting to go after anyone that is known to support the others or do business with the others. They're starting to go after people. So politically, things are starting to get tense. And Meg has some more prophecies in which she's able to learn of other dangers to the community, and they're able to go in and try and stop those from happening. So book 2 is where the political intrigue really starts to show up for the whole series. 1 introduces the world, kind of gets Meg introduced to you and helps you understand the world. 2 is where we see her, now that she's settled in, she has to learn how to live, manage her abilities, and we start to see the political intrigue starting to happen. This is also where we see more of a couple of human cops that were from book 1 introduced. They're starting to become stronger background characters. They're going to be important throughout the series as well. It's sorry, something in my eye there. It's a really good book. I really enjoy it. It is. Let's see. is, sorry, 354, and like the very last page is maybe one paragraph. So like 353 and a half pages essentially. So not super thick. If anything, not super thick at all. So it's a manageable read. It's good. The storyline is good. There's a lot that goes on. But as long as you're able to pay attention as you read, it makes sense. It just all kind of builds on itself. Character development wise, really good. We've seen Meg really gain some confidence from the first book. She's starting to become more independent and more confident in herself. Simon and the others are starting to understand her better. They're still learning about human behavior, but they're starting to understand her better. So the character development is really good there. We do get a new set of abilities introduced in book 2, which is the Intuits. They're humans that, like Meg, they have an ability, but they don't see prophecy. They just get like a really strong feeling. So for them, it's based on what's most important to them. So like if they're in the mayor of a town, for example, they're gonna have some strong feelings on the politics around them that's gonna affect their community. Or if, say, they run a boat service, they're gonna have some strong feelings about when there might be danger to the boats, that kind of thing. So Intuits also get introduced, and they will be a group to keep an eye on throughout the rest of the series as well. Overall, I give this book a 4.9 out of 5 rating. For being well written, plenty to keep you going throughout the story. There's something for everyone within it. Really good character development. New characters getting added to it with the Intuits, and there's a new elemental pony that's kind of introduced into it. So it's a really good book, and I really enjoy this book. I highly recommend reading this. I also recommend, if you have not yet read the series, I recommend going back and reading Written in Red and then reading Murder of Crows. You can read them on their own. Like, there's a brief introduction to the world before you start the story, and they'll kind of briefly mention the previous book to kind of give you an idea of what's happened then. But I find it's better to read the first book and then come back and read the second book. That way you're able to keep up with the events that happened better. It makes more sense. Especially as you get further into this series, you're going to want to keep up with everything. Alright guys, so if you're looking for a really good book that is fantasy, this is urban fantasy, that's got some great characters, has a little bit of something for everyone, this is definitely the one to check out. If you have read the series, leave a comment. Let me know what you thought of the book. Do you have a favorite character? Do you have a type of other you would love to see introduced in here that's not yet introduced that you're curious on? Or is there one that you'd like to meet in real life someday? Personally, I'd go for the Bear Shifter. I'd love to meet him. He seems like a great character. He comes off as protective and friendly while being himself. I think it'd be cool to meet him. So just let me know what you think. Alright guys, till next time, keep reading.